and we're going to be launching the training there. We're going to be focused more on mobility. So we're looking at anything that's moving. So if we're moving parts, people, products, anything like that, Detroit is trying to be the epicenter of the globe. Everything that has anything to do with mobile and mobility. So electric vehicles, electric vehicle charging stations, everything like that. So we're going to gear up and get the community ready to get skilled up and take those jobs as well as they come.
Hey, man, listen, you had your finger on the post, man. I knew this was going to be a great episode when I saw you posting, about the fact that, it was manufacturing. I said, we have to do this. We got to get it done. We got to get it done.
Thank you, man.
I'm also hearing some phenomenal things are happening in the state of Illinois. Make it in Illinois.
Yeah. So there's a lot of new energy around manufacturing and just making it here domestically in the United States. So whether that's the Build Back Better plan, whether that's the Good Jobs Act, whether that's a lot of reshoring efforts to get a lot of the work that we exported to the Chinas of the world and the Koreas of the world.
You are listening to the Global CTE Podcast with your host, Sylvester Chisom.
Welcome, my friend, to another episode of the Global CTE Podcast. I am your host, Sylvester Chisom. This is the place where we like to wrap a blanket of goodwill around our CTE community, and I interview the best, the brightest, the movers, the shakers, the innovators. Today is no different. I got my good friend, Mr. Andrew, the MFG Crowe. Now, let me tell you, Drew is a transformative figure in the manufacturing sector. From his beginnings as a teenage father and overcoming his past as a two-time felon, Drew has ascended to the forefront of the advanced manufacturing education movement. He is the former lead professor at Rankin Technical College in St. Louis, where he spearheaded the development of a cutting-edge digital curriculum in advanced manufacturing technology. Drew's influence extends through the role as co-host of Project MFG, a program dedicated to elevating skilled trades across the U.S. through top-tier competitions. Recognized twice as Aerospace and Aviation Man of the Year and featured in Forbes, Drew's work addresses critical workforce and skills gaps, making him a key voice in shaping the future of manufacturing. Welcome. Of the new American manufacturing renaissance, Mr. Drew Crowe. What's going on, man?
What's up, my man? I'm so excited to be here, bro. I don't even know, if you know, I've been a fan since you launched. And I've been seeing all of the dope people that you had on here, man. And I'm glad that we can make some time to get able to sit down and chop it up and get on the episode, bro.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Respect, man. You're moving all across the country. You're innovating. You're bringing an important message across America that speaks to economic upward mobility. And listen, man, we're recording this in October, which is Manufacturing Month. So I was like,
let's go.
I know you're busy on tour, but I gotta find some time for me, please.
Yeah. I'm glad we were able to do it, man. And shout out Manufacturing Month. Shout out all the manufacturers that are listening to this podcast. Shout out to the people that didn't know that it was Manufacturing Month, and now they do. Make sure that you get in tune with some activities that are going on. Next year might be too late by the time you hear this podcast, but now that it's on your radar and it's on your map, lock in with the manufacturing community. They want to show you some love every October.
Absolutely, 100%, man. Before we get too deep into all of that, man, I want to know what's your origin story. How do you get here, man?
Yeah, so I'm from St. Louis, Missouri, and like you kind of alluded to on the intro, man, I was a teenage father, a two-time felon. And I was in a position where, my single mother was working 3 or 4 jobs and we still couldn't, pay the rent and keep the lights on at the same time. And at a young age, that made a mental, mark in me to where I felt like people shouldn't work and struggle at the same time. Like there's no way that you should have a job or multiple jobs and not be able to afford at least the bare necessities for people. And as a young man from our area trying to figure this out, I didn't have a lot of positive role models or people that were looking to help me figure out what it was that I was good at. And I wanted to help my mother at the same time. So I hopped off the porch early, so to speak. And, those things led to making decisions for now and not really having a long-term vision and a long-term plan. So I found myself at 18 with no real job prospects, no real skills, no understanding of what I could be. And I had, F's on my report card of life. So I had felonies and a mouth to feed. So, was in that cycle of committing crimes, getting locked up, getting back out, missing court dates, having warrants, running to different states, doing different stuff. Then eventually I got tired, and not just tired for myself, but I saw my son starting to mimic some of the things that I was doing, and it kind of left a bad taste in my mouth, So I decided that whatever it looked like, I didn't know what I wanted to do, right? I didn't know what I could do, and sometimes that's enough. Knowing what you don't want to do can propel you towards the person that you can be. So I knew on the inside I was bigger than who I was being right now. I knew that there was a bigger picture in life for me. I didn't know what that looked like, but I knew I didn't want to keep doing what I was doing. So I put the word out that, I'm looking for a job. I was 18. It was the height of the recession at the time. So it was no jobs out here. Definitely no jobs for a teenager with no education and no skills that were transferable for anything. If you remember at the time, I remember people with master's degree trying to get jobs like at McDonald's, you know what I'm saying? And it was tough. So the job market was scarce. Plus it was more scarce not having skills, having all these things going against me. And so someone was like, look, I can get you a gig or I can get you an interview. It's not necessarily a guarantee for a job. And I was like, what is it? And they said it's a machinist. Okay. And I was like, okay, I had no idea what that is. But if it's paying and you can give me an interview, that's all I need. I just need to talk to somebody across from me and I can get this job. So I go into this shop, this warehouse looking thing. I come in and they give me a test, not like an aptitude test, but like it had different measuring tools and instruments on there that they used to do the job. And I failed that side of the test. I didn't have any idea what those tools were, how to use them, how to read the readings on there or anything. On the back side of the test, though, there was measurements like an eighth, 3/8, a quarter, you know what I'm saying? And from my last job in the streets, I did really well on that side. I knew all of that stuff. So I clowned on that side and he offered me a job on the saw, right? And the saw situation was taking raw material in the shop, cutting it down to a specific size, adding another 1/4 of material on there, and then taking it to the machine. So then the machine could be programmed to cut out whatever we're making out of the metal, right? And so just having that job gave me hope. It made me feel like, okay, I might not have skills. I might not know what I can be, but this is something to hold on to. So I cut that metal like it was $1 million a cut.
Hey, I know you're enjoying the episode. Really quick, Drew has something that he wants to offer you for free. Drew, tell him about it.
Yo, whether you're a job seeker or a high school student looking to crack into some of these careers that you're hearing us talk about right now, or if you're an industry member and you're like, yo, I need to get it with the community that Drew's talking about. I want to find the next Drew or the Drew 2.0. This is where you do it. Log on to DrewCroweMFG.com. Click on ebooks, and there's 2 of them that you're going to get for free for listening to this episode. If you're in the industry, the MFG Renaissance Starter Kit is for you. If you're looking to get into the industry, the MFG Hustle Blueprint is for you. Download those workbooks and start your success today.
Love it. Back to the episode.
I really started showing up and I saw these machines they were taking a big piece of metal and they were cutting it down and making more money off of it. And I was just in awe because, again, referring to my last job at the time, we were adding to raw material and stretching it and trying to make money, right? So that was the first thing that already had me, my mind going. The second thing was, how are these machines, operating with nobody in front of them? And what are we making? And they told me that we were making non-contact bearing isolators that went into fighter jets. And so at that point, I felt like, okay, my job matters. Wow. So when I wake up every day, I'm a part of the bigger picture in America. Like I got a part in keeping our country safe. This wasn't too long after 9/11. Patriotism was big. And, just growing up Black, sometimes America, there's a different America that you live in, so and we struggle to find our place. So that got me in the game. That got me excited about manufacturing and engineering and making things out of raw materials. I showed that excitement and working and put my head down. Eventually, they sent me to college to, get bachelor's and master's degrees in digital design and engineering. I went to MIT. I worked for a lot of the biggest brands out here, making everything from lawnmowers, big combines for John Deere to stealth fighter jets for Boeing, different places like that. From there, I got to teach. People started hitting me up and saying, hey, man, our industry is really old. We need some new blood in here. And we're not able to recruit and bring people in. People forgot what we do. We need a voice, and we need a person that looks like what the kids are interested in right now. And we need to make manufacturing sexy again. So I was able to get out here and really build a platform and use my platform to, show kids why, we can make America make things again and why we should be doing that.
That's such a powerful story. I think you may have just delivered one of the best origin stories I've had on the pod. I'm thinking about one time someone mentioned their grandmother, and it was like it got really emotional. But you just took us on a beautiful journey of I'm thinking about resilience. I got some follow-up questions to that, and we talk a lot about the durable skills on the podcast, the things that our workforce are looking for. And as you were talking, I cannot help but think about, I put one word around that story is resilience. I'm curious to you, for those who may be listening or want to share strategies around resilience, can you speak to that a little bit, man?
Absolutely, man. And I think, to be honest, at the time when I was building up my resilience, I was just too ignorant to know. You know what I'm saying? And it was like, look, I'm going to get knocked down. I know these things might happen, but as long as there's a little bit of hope that I can stand back up and I can stand, I'm going to be okay. Or if I even got to get on my knees, you know what I'm saying? And eventually stand up, I'm going to be okay, but nothing's going to stop me from getting myself to wherever I need to be or whatever goal that might be. It might look different, my pathway there. It might, everything, there's always going to be obstacles in life. And once we understand that, then we understand that it's just another obstacle, right? It's not definite. It's not finite, right? So that was the mentality that I had. And before I had that mentality, I just knew that I didn't have any other choices. It was either I kept going or I'm going backwards. And if I go backwards, I was already at rock bottom. So I'm going to be locked up or I'm going to get smoked. You know what I'm saying? For lack of better words. So at that point, it was like, look, whatever is on that side of it, that's the end, right? So if I don't keep going forward, no matter if it's a huge step today and a baby step tomorrow, sometimes maybe it's a small step backwards or even a big step backwards. But as long as you don't continue to backslide, then you'll continue to stack wins, right? And as you stack wins, you can look back and that's a testament to your resilience, right? You start seeing that, this didn't take me out. That didn't take me down. This didn't stop me. And once you start seeing things that are familiar like that, you remind yourself, that was just another thing I hopped right over. You know what I'm saying? Or you start getting that vision and that foresight, and you can start seeing these things coming and you can hedge for those, right? And you can say, hey, I know that these curveballs are going to come, so I'm going to work on my curveball hitting, right? And when them curveballs come, you smacking them out of the park. Or you could be able to see, okay, that's not my pitch, so to speak, So it's a journey. It's something that's built as you're walking on the journey, but you got to understand that the beauty is in the journey and not necessarily in wherever you think that finish line or that goal may be.
Yeah, respect. Very well said. Thank you for sharing that. And
no doubt.
Going in on that, I wanted to ask you, I had one other follow-up question to that. And doing our research, the name Donnie Ogle came up.
Donnie Ogle, yeah.
Is that your mentor that kind of helped speak to you?
So Donnie was actually the person that gave me my first job. Talked about going into that shop and giving me that test. And Donnie was an old white man from the sticks, right? And so him and I had nothing in common on the outside. And when I went and sat down in that meeting or in that first interview, I don't know how he did it or what he had in him to see in me the potential I had, and the fact that I really needed this job, whatever it was going to be. But he told me, he said, look, man, you might be on the saw today, but if you want to be machinist, if you want to be a programmer, you keep coming in every day and I'm going to make one out of it, right? And so right there, I saw that not only is he going to give me an opportunity, but he's going to empower me to take this opportunity as far as I'd like to take it. And that was all I needed to hear. As soon as he told me that there was something else on the other end of this and that he'll help me get there, I knew that he believed in me. So that made me start believing in myself. If he think I could be a machinist, if he think I can program these machines, I never even seen one of these things in my life. You know what I'm saying? And I didn't know what an engineer was. I didn't know what 3D design, CAD CAM, any of these higher level concepts were. But he was at a high level and looked down and saw something in me and knew that I could do it. And sometimes that's all you need, right? You need someone to say, hey, I know that this is in you because I've been here, and let me show you how to get here. You know what I'm saying? Go ahead.
I was gonna say, I think that's so powerful what you said. Sometimes when people may find themselves in situations where they're uncertain or lacking the confidence, and you need someone to transfer their belief in you onto you. Like, no, like yes. I see what is possible in you, and I think that's so powerful that you said
1,000%. And he took it another level, right? So that was another thing that I think made me really receive what he was saying was, not only do I see it in you, here's clear steps on how to start becoming the you that we both know that you can be, right? So by empowering me, not just mentorship, but sponsorship. Hey, we're going to pay for you to go to school. We're going to do this, and this. Now I feel like, okay, this isn't just lip service. They're like literally helping me become, because a lot of times you don't know what you don't know. And we have the burden on the people to realize their potential, and they got no idea on even how to take the first step. We just tell people like, yo, you could be all you could be. Well, how does that work? What does that look like in action? Right. And so that is one of the reasons why I launched the New American Manufacturing Renaissance Tour. You know what I'm saying? Because I saw that while I was working at Rankin, we had a lot of kids in the city of St. Louis that were coming to take tours, and they were being pushed to automotive, right? Or they were being pushed to, construction or things that people know a lot about, plumbing maybe, right? And I would go to these kids that were on these tours, and they'd be like, yo, what class do you teach? I want to come learn from you. You don't look like a professor I've ever seen before. You know what I'm saying? And I would bring them into my classroom. I would show them the machines, and these kids that were once interested in automotive, just working on other people's cars, was like, wait, I could use these machines to design my own engine, to make my own car. You know what I'm saying? Like, I could be Henry Ford. 100% you can. And once we understand the full picture and they know, hey, yeah, you're into cars. Yes, you could work on them. You could work on all the cars that somebody else made, learn that thing inside and out, and be a journeyman mechanic, own your own shop one day. That's noble. You can do that. Or if you into that and you really, really love cars and you really are into these things, not just on that side of it, but you know the design, or you want to know the design, you want to know these things, you could come be the next Elon Musk over here. Like, you could literally be Tesla and design a vehicle that you like. You want to make the next flying vehicle. Like, that's what's on this side of it. And if people don't know that, they don't know how to go there. You know what I'm saying?
You own it, man. You on fire. You on fire. Like, okay, so break this down, man. Like, what the New American Manufacturing Renaissance Tour, I see you traveling the country, yep, spreading the message. Talk to me about the opportunities that are available that you're exposing students to.
100%. So I get into between 12 and 15 cities on this tour. It's self-headlined, pretty much self-funded. I do have sponsors in the manufacturing industry. We're always looking for more. We go into cities for 2 days apiece. The first day, we spend a full day with job seekers and students, where we'll either come to like a technical college or a high school with a robust CTE program. And it's set up like a rap concert for real. So I bring a DJ, we got smoke machines, a light show, all type of stuff to get the kids aware of and excited about careers in advanced manufacturing. So I talk about my story, all the dope things that I've worked on, and we either video in or we bring in panelists that are local, that are working in dope places that look like the kids or come from the community that the kids are from. So they can say, hey, not only can I think I could work at Tesla, here's a person from my neighborhood that is mechanical engineer at Tesla, and they could tell me the steps that they took to get there locally right here, right? So showing them the opportunity showing them the different careers, and then showing them the steps to take from where they are right there to get those careers. The second day, I bring industry and city leaders out, and I do a mixer, right? And at that mixer, we do a recruiting and retention, workshop. So you could say, hey, this is why it's important to not only show kids these 21st century careers in your area, but this is how you reach back to them and build a bridge from where you are right now. So that means internships, apprenticeships, sponsoring robotics teams or something like that. We start to build those bridges in these cities so that the ecosystem becomes self-sustained, where academia can support community, and then, the city leaders can support legislation that supports both. And then now we've got not only innovation, but high-paying jobs in these city cores where they weren't once, as prevalent as they were.
I love that. Make it tangible for me. Give me a success story from one of the tours where you saw a student just mind blown, or you saw, some folks getting jobs or something. Give me something.
100%. So most of the times we doing both of those things, right? So we want to bring the trade right to the people's faces. So when you come to my tour, you're going to walk into most likely an auditorium. You're going to walk into dope music, a light show, like I said, kids screaming, you're getting handouts, all type of stuff. It's a really, really high energy show. Right outside of the auditorium, you're going to have local businesses and technical colleges with admissions counselors and people that are giving apprenticeships right there on the spot. Wichita Technical College, WSU Tech, Wichita State University Technical. We were able to increase their enrollment in their summer CTE programs by 200%. We got 30 kids signed up for their dual enrollment program from West High School into the WSU Tech program. And a lot of times, every city that we go to, there's always some type of scholarship or awards given so that bridge is real. And that's the thing that I think our communities were missing. People were coming into the communities and saying, hey, you could do this, you could be this. They weren't showing them how. They weren't showing them, the tools needed to get there. And then they weren't empowering them to be able to do it. So that's the reason why I don't just go to the community members and do the first show. I always do the second show as well. We do the mixer with the industry, because there's got to be some type of tangible thing that comes out of this so that we can say the impact is real, right? And we don't want to just go in, turn on the light. That's good. We want to turn on the light bulb and get that mind thinking. But then we want them to be able to connect and know exactly where to go. Right. So that's just Wichita. Yeah. In Detroit, we've had a lot of dope opportunities as far as people getting funded, kids' ideas getting funded that they didn't even know there was something that they could turn into a product. Right. So there were some kids with an idea of a water filter for water bottles for Flint, Michigan. Okay. And there was another person that was on my panel that does 3D printing with all type of exotic materials. And they just continue to probe the kids, like, how would this help your community? What if you had, this is a product, you would need a sales department and this, and this. So that means you could hire 25 people from your community if this was a product. And at the end of that conversation, they were invited to come into the lab so they can do R&D and begin to make these things from what these kids' idea was, right? So that's what we want to push. That's what we want to promote. We want to show kids that, necessity is the mother of invention, right? Anywhere that there's a need or anywhere that there's a community that's been historically resilient, there's some type of widgets or some type of creative thing that they've made to be able to circumvent the loss and the things that they don't have, right? Mm-hmm. And if we could turn those ideas into real physical products or real physical things, then not only are more communities able to be uplifted, but these are careers and these are jobs and these are things that are going to make, quick, impactful change.
I'm curious. You mentioned like 3D printing. I know there's a big skills gap. Like, talk to me a little bit more about, like, for our educators who may be listening, like, what are some of the skills they should be focusing on as it relates to, advanced manufacturing opportunity?
Man, great question. So right now, there is a 2.1 million open jobs opportunity in advanced manufacturing, and that's everything that falls under that. So if we think about just the making of anything tangible that we have, our computers, the chairs that we're sitting in, the glasses that we're both wearing, manufacturing touches every single thing, right? So that's number one. Number two, manufacturing right now, we have a new industrial revolution that's amongst us right now. The fourth industrial revolution is when the machines that are making things are combined with these supercomputers. So the AI, the automation, the cloud, the robotics and stuff like that, right? So there is a big shift in what jobs are going to look like going forward due to AI, due to robotics, due to automation. And right now, if we want to set kids up to be the people that are pushing the 21st century careers forward, or even to have them be working, we need to start pushing things like problem solving. Right now, they're already in places where they're doing like complex 3D environments, right? So in art classes, they're using Photoshop and they're using Adobe Illustrator and design. Those same skills are the skills that we use when we're making digital twins and we're doing non-destructive testing for, digital products before we make them real. So digital environments, manipulating digital environments, working in a team, working in stressful environments, right? So we might be making a part for a Boeing jet needs to, take flight in 3 months, right? And there might be a design flaw that, too much air is coming into this part of the engine. And that's, giving us some type of, flaw that we don't need. And you got to figure that out, right? So being able to solve problems on the fly, under pressure, under stress, within a team is something else that we need to do. But really, we need all experiences, right? We got into a bottleneck because our industry was too expensive to teach in the high schools anymore, right? So, we think about right now, today, 3D printers, you can get one for $50 to $100, right? And it's good enough to teach you the basics. But some of these machines that we had before 3D printing are $50,000, $100,000, and every high school can't afford those types of machines. And then an instructor that knows how to program these machines and teach the curriculum at the same time. What we have now is we've got, the digital era where a lot of those machines are digital to where you can, have the machine and manipulate it on a laptop, right? So you don't necessarily have to have the machine in your program. You don't have to have the expendables. There's opportunities online. You can teach the same skills, and kids can get that same knowledge and start building things themselves and trying things out. Or again, like I said, a 3D printer, $50 to $100. You don't even have to have a curriculum. There's plenty of them that are free online. There's a lot of places that will help you build one for your school. But if those things don't even, we're in an era right now where just having one in your classroom and giving the kids access to it, they'll gravitate to the 3D printer. Yeah. With YouTube University, they'll figure it out themselves. And the ones that want to really put their foot on the pedal, you'll see them start making things and connecting things and doing it themselves. And then that's the kid that you empower and say, okay, we need to put him in a robotics lead program, or we need to, maybe help him start one in our school or whatever that looks like.
And I noticed that I know exposure and getting this message out is super important to you. In our pre-show, we talked a little about the Jane Addams Resource Corp or JARC. Yes. Talk to me about the expansion that you all have rolling out.
So Jane Addams Resource Corporation is a corporation that started in 1985, well before I was born. And they've been doing a lot of the work to help people get pathways out of poverty by having really good jobs. And since then, and even till now, manufacturing careers are one of the jobs you can get with the quickest amount of training. It has the highest starting pay, and the career ladder is almost, never ending. So there's so much that you can do with it. So they've identified careers in manufacturing like CNC, programming, automation, machining, and welding as these careers that offer the upward mobility. So we have four training centers in Chicago, one in Baltimore that we launched 5 years ago, and then one in a women's prison in Rhode Island. And now with the Navy having a lot of jobs that they need filled for their submarines projects and their maritime industrial base, we've been able to connect in Philadelphia and build a training center to help them get people from the community to start filling some of those jobs that they need done. So the machinists, the nuclear engineers, the non-destructing testing engineers, we're able to take people from the community, skill them up, and then get them into accelerated programs to be able to start filling those good jobs. In Detroit, we're doing the same thing. We're able to get into Detroit, and we're going to be launching the training there. We're going to be focused more on mobility. So we're looking at anything that's moving. So if we're moving parts, people, products, anything like that, Detroit is trying to be the epicenter of the globe of everything that has anything to do with mobile and mobility. So electric vehicle charging stations, everything like that. So we're going to gear up and get the community ready to get skilled up and take those jobs as well as they come.
Hey, man, listen, you have your finger on the pulse, man. I knew this is going to be a great episode when I saw you posting, about the fact that, it was manufacturing. I said, we have to do this. We got to get it done. We got to get it done.
Thank you, man.
I'm also hearing some phenomenal things are happening in the state of Illinois. Make it in Illinois. Like,
yeah. So there's a lot of new energy around manufacturing and just making here domestically in the United States. So whether that's the Build Back Better plan, whether that's the Good Jobs Act, whether that's a lot of reshoring efforts to get a lot of the work that we exported to the Chinas of the world and the Koreas of the world back over here, the government really understands that we've got to make things in America to be able to make it, period, and to bring our cities back and to bring people back to a good middle class, strong middle class. And the state of Illinois was really innovative and putting their foot on the pedal of showcasing the different things that Illinois makes right now, not just products, but people, right? So for the next year, I'll be going around different cities and different places in Illinois, showcasing the products that are made there, the people's journeys and stories into the manufacturing industry, some of the really dope makers that are making things that I can't say right now, but there are some products that are going to be released and they're right there in Illinois. And they're from people that look like you and me that just had an idea. And now these things are real and they're businesses. And we want to tell those stories. So people that are not in Illinois, but they're looking for a chance to make it themselves can come here. If there's companies in Illinois that say, hey, we want to connect with people to help them make it, they'll connect, so we want to just strengthen that ecosystem, put makers on a bigger platform, and really get into the nitty gritty of what this manufacturing industry is about.
Thank you for sharing that. And I know it was something that was on my mind. I think it's like a matter of national security. And so
come on, man, 100%.
Like when you think about the chips, it's like you need them for everything, but we're not making, so it's like,
and the biggest question is, if we not making them, who is, right?
Right.
And so in our phones, on the computer that we on right now, in our cars, if these chips are made by an adversary, they got the power to press a button and everything goes crazy, right? So definitely we need to be making things here. The submarine industrial base and myself connected actually because the day after Russia invaded Ukraine, I was at the White House speaking with the president, the Joint Chiefs of Staff, simultaneously the Pentagon, about our industrial base. If we get pulled into a war effort right now with the amount of things that we are giving to other countries, can we supplement ourselves to make more things to protect ourselves? And our industrial base just isn't big enough to support a war effort right now. Also, if we had to go to war and we were pulled into war right now, we would have to purchase our jet fighters, our tanks, our submarines from, again, another country that is capable of making them. So they've got the drop on what we're making and what we have and all of those different things. So it's imperative that we're making here, and we're not just making here, but we're innovating as well. And we're the forefront of that innovation.
Mm-hmm. Anything else you can share from from that conversation at the White House? Like any other outcomes?
Yeah.
Or thoughts?
Yeah. So if you look at buildsubmarines.com, if you watch college football or the World Series right now, NASCAR, they're doing a big campaign to get submarines built. The Department of Defense has ordered 3 submarines per year for the next 8 years, I want to say. And that's going to take 100,000 people to be at 100,000 more people to be able to do every year. So we're talking jobs that are starting at $30 an hour up to begin to start building these submarines. And a lot of times people think about our national security as us going somewhere and fighting a war. But a lot of the wars don't happen because of the defense and the things that we have. So a lot of people won't test us because they know what we're capable of and the things that we make and the fact that we can turn them out and make them very, very fastly. Right. That's a strategic advantage of ours, right? And so with the conflicts that have been going on and the people that we've been supporting, we're pretty thin right now, right? We're not in a place that we're going to lose anything anytime soon. However, we need to be in a place where people don't want to think about testing us. You know what I'm saying? And right now we've got 31 nuclear warheads spread out around the world that belong to the United States, right? And these are on submarines. The reason they're on submarines is because a submarine has a nuclear reactor inside of there. So it doesn't need gas. It doesn't need any of those things. It can go perpetually forever, right? Another thing is nobody knows where these 31 warheads are. Not us, not anybody in the United States Navy or the Department of Defense. What happens is they tell these submarine captains, here's a stretch of ocean. It's yours. Get out there. And they can be anywhere within that thing, right? So if any conflict happens at any time, we could have a defense response. They call it the second wave at a snap of a finger. It's those capabilities that keep people from having a first wave of anything because they know what our second wave is going to be. And so most of those warheads that are on these submarines, the submarines are 50 years old or older, right? That doesn't mean the technology's bad because the government is usually 40 years ahead of us in technology, but we need to have a constant fleet this protection, right? So that's one of the big things that we're working on right now is making that happen. Another thing is when I travel and I go around and I talk to kids and I talk to a lot of the newer generation, you know, they don't like conflict. Nobody wants to go to war, right? And back in the day, you know, like pre our time, but like Vietnam and all those different things, people didn't like war, but they understood that war was an economic booster. It was, you know, different thing that it meant different to people, right? Now there's a different rhetoric on war, and it definitely should be, right? And we see kids that are protesting all the time. And it's beautiful that they're protesting. I don't think personally is going to come from those protests. I think there is going to be some change there and there's value there. But at the same time, we need people with that mindset working for these companies, right? And I'll tell you why. If you come from that mindset that war is not necessary, we shouldn't have war, and then you go work for a Boeing or a Raytheon or something like that, and you're in the design department, then you can literally change how war is fought. Hey, we're making drones that has to ever go on the front line. This is a war between drones. This is a war between, you know, humanoid robots or whatever that looks like, right? That's how you begin to change the narrative. And when we talked at the beginning of this, you know, I talked about how manufacturing is literally your opportunity to design the world that you want to live in, right? Anything that we don't like right now about how the world is, being able to have an idea and then make that tangible is the way that you'll create a product or innovate and make another product better in a way that will change the world. People didn't like carbon emissions. People didn't like the way that automobiles were. Now we have electric vehicles, right? People didn't like the way that electric vehicles were driving or people were driving. So now we're trying to get autonomous vehicles, right? And that's the progression of when you have access to innovation and access to the tools to be able to do it. again, you change the narrative and you change what the world looks like and you make it more feasible to where you want it to go.
We've covered a lot here, man. We've covered a lot. It's a lot there. This is an episode we have to go back and watch a couple of times.
I was going to say this might be a two-parter.
Yeah. My last question for you, all of my guests, is what's your vision for the future career tech education?
So I want to see more engineering. I want to see more manufacturing facing careers in schools sooner. So whether that means getting 3D printers in kids' hands in first and second grade, getting kids playing more things like Minecraft, where they're in a 3D environment, they're having resource allocation and then building from there and understanding the process of building different things. Whether that means more field trips to manufacturing aligned places. I know that a lot of CTE schools and aligned schools that have programs, they like to take kids to visually see and get hands-on. Go to a manufacturing plant, go to a Rivian, go to a Blue Origin, let kids see all of the things that they have in their imagination and then tell them that they can really make these things happen, build that excitement back and help them start to connect those dots between the world that we live in now and the world that they want to live in, empower them to understand that they're the ones that create it. And the earlier we can start that, the more we can engage them when they're young, the better off we'll be.
Yeah, thank you, man. And that's something easy and tangible for anyone listening, is even just rethinking the field trip experience, taking students to see places where advanced manufacturing are happening and getting that early career exposure, starting earlier at the elementary level, exposing them to these opportunities. That's so powerful, man. If anyone who's listening wants to connect with you, they want to bring the tour, they want to book one of these phenomenal keynotes, where do you want to direct them?
You all can find me at drewcrowemfg.com. On the website, you can do all of the things that you just mentioned. You can book me for the tour. You can book me to come keynote. You can buy some MFG gear. 100% of the proceeds go to funding the tour. So that means scholarships for more kids. That means more opportunity and awareness for more kids. And then you can also get my free workbook. So if you're a school or you are a technical college or you are a manufacturer that says, hey, I want to get back into the community. I want to start building some bridges to train people to get a pipeline of kids from the elementary school, sponsored in these careers or whatever it is. This book is going to outline all of the things that you need to do to get going, all the free ways, all the ways that you can get those things started right now and start attracting the youth. And then on the other end, I got a book for job seekers and high school and middle school students. If they want to start exploring these careers, they want to figure out what is a career in manufacturing, what are some of the hot ones, how do I get into manufacturing, what a pathway looks like, what I need to start studying right now to be successful. All of those things are in there. And again, they're free. I want everybody to be able to have access to this information. So get it for yourself, get it for a student, get it for a family member, get it for your business, your boss. They're there for you.
Love it. Thank you so much, man. I really appreciate your time, Drew. You dropped a lot of gems. It's real, it's here, it's necessary. Advanced manufacturing is happening here in America, helping to realize that American dream for a lot more people, providing that opportunity for economic upward mobility. If you enjoyed this episode, don't be selfish. Share it with a friend or a colleague. I know you enjoyed it. And listen to the next episode. Remember, you don't have to be great to get started, but you have to get started to be great. Peace.
Thank you for listening to the Global CTE Podcast. Be sure to like and subscribe to be the first to know about future episodes.